Since starting a 9 to 5, I've been dealing with the midday slump on a daily basis. Every day after lunch, the soul-crushing brain fog rolls in, dwindling my focus and motivation. Sitting down and trying to grind it out in this state is the last thing that I want to do. By the time my suffering ends at 5, I feel like an empty husk of a man. It's decreasing my quality of life, and as someone who wants to enjoy their life, this is unacceptable. Something needed to change. So for the past few months, I've been cultivating my higher mind and trying to solve this chronic collapse of vitality. And I think I've built a system that works pretty well. I've defined two concepts, drag and flow. As codified in the latest edition of the Dufresne Dictionary, drag is formally defined as a low-grade state of internal resistance that happens when you keep pushing yourself even though your body is clearly signaling that you need to stop. Being in drag means what you're doing is depleting your life energy and misaligned with how you should be living. A simple example would be trying to get some work done during the midday slump, even though every molecule in your body is telling you to stop. That feeling, that's drag. Flow is formally defined as the absence of drag, in the state of your internal capacity restored and ready for exertion. When you're in flow, what you're doing feels nourishing and feels aligned with how you should be living your life. The action feels right and you get satisfaction from doing it. If I want to live an enjoyable life, I have to minimize drag and maximize flow. That is the thesis of this entire system. By adjusting my behavior, I can reduce unnecessary suffering caused by drag and maximize the amount of flourishing life that I get in a state of flow. To help quantify this concept, I came up with an analogy. In Minecraft, when you go underwater, you have a breath meter. Those little bubbles that go down the longer you stay submerged. When you run out of those bubbles, you start taking damage. That breath meter is what I call an exposure bar. Exposure bars start full and then deplete the longer you stay exposed to something that causes fatigue. Humans have those same exposure bars. You know, in my case, when I'm working all morning, I'm fatiguing myself. And by the time I reach the midday, I am in full slump mode. And that is drag. That is a drag. To exit that feeling of drag or to avoid it, what I have to do is what I've found is I have to take a rest. I have to do something else. So what I've done is I've taken that principle and I've categorized 5 types of rest: physical, cognitive, sensory, emotional, and existential fatigue. I've identified kind of where they come from, how do you recognize them when you start to feel them, and then what kind of rest protocol you should be taking to avoid, overexposing yourself, reaching the end of that bar and entering drag. Physical fatigue. This type of fatigue occurs with exposure to things such as exercise, intense output, long physical effort. Some early signs you might be reaching drag include soreness, heaviness, reduced explosiveness, low coordination, and when you start feeling the symptoms, the rest protocol you should be taking is to switch muscle groups, lower the intensity, active recovery, and hydrate. Cognitive fatigue. This type of fatigue occurs with exposure to things such as executive function, decision-making, deep focus, and prolonged screen-based thinking. Some early signs you might be reaching drag include brain fog, careless mistakes, difficulty starting tasks, forgetfulness, and a strong urge to distract yourself. When you start feeling these symptoms, the rest protocol is reduce executive demand, change focus to a low-stakes task, do something manual, take a short walk without your phone, or just let your mind wander. Sensory fatigue. This type of fatigue occurs with exposure to things such as bright screens, artificial light, loud environments, constant noise, and visual clutter. Some early signs you might be reaching drag include head tension, eye strain, irritability towards small sounds, feeling overstimulated, and a subtle desire that you need to escape the environment. When you start feeling these symptoms, the rest protocol is lower light exposure, move to a quiet space, remove screens, spend some time outdoors, and allow your nervous system to downshift. Emotional fatigue. This type of fatigue occurs with exposure to social performance, caretaking, intense conversations, or prolonged isolation without meaningful connection. Some early signs you might be reaching drag include irritability, low patience, feeling easily overwhelmed by people, emotional flatness, or overreacting to small things. When you start feeling these symptoms, the rest protocol is to seek solitude, do some journaling, give yourself some space. Existential fatigue. This type of fatigue occurs with exposure to chronic pressure, constant optimization, repetitive routines, lack of novelty, or prolonged misalignment between effort and meaning. Some early signs you might be reaching drag include cynicism, questioning the point of what you're doing, loss of sort of intrinsic motivation, boredom, and a sense that life is just gray and useless. When you start feeling the systems, the rest protocol is to remove evaluative pressure. Seek novelty, change your environment, engage with awe, reconnect with meaningful goals. This isn't a perfect system, but it's a system that works generally most of the time. As long as I maintain a healthy baseline of like sleep, exercise, diet, going outside, talking to people, and as long as I don't have any chronic disorders, the system works. And I've been using it, and I've started recognizing when I start to enter a state of drag and I take appropriate actions. I go and I rest. I do the appropriate rest. And what I found by the end of the day, after everything is said and done, I actually am more productive. I've increased my productive output, better quality output too, and I've had just a more enjoyable life. I've been doing this for a week now and it's been awesome. I've just been enjoying my days. So I'm very happy with this system. In the next video, I'm going to talk about fake rest, things that we commonly mistake as rest and nourishing, but it's actually just setting us back. So look forward to that one.